Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here with another D standard deck profile, and as promised, I did say I have another Nakano build for our quintuplets. So here we are. So it will be still her, but I play her in a very different way compared to purely just the quintuplets cards plus a little bit support to make the deck to work, and also fully utilizing the crest and stuff. This build will be completely different, and the focus will be different. Um, because when I look at the card, not like even before I make the quintuplets focus build, I also look into her as like she is a very easy to use card as long as you consider her as a kind of +1 restand attacker Vanguard. So based on this focus, I have made another build which, if you are like having the Stoichia cards, then you can simply build it up, and so far it's doing me pretty good. I won't say it's a competitive level deck, but if you are considering this as a rogue deck where people have no idea what you are doing as a like first fight killer, then I think this is a good choice, because when people see your red line, see what you ditch, they will think you are playing another deck, and then when you go into the grave 3, they probably will be a lot more confused. Some people, if they like for example, if they actually watch this video, then they will know what it is. But before the grave 3 is revealed, so far they probably won't know what is happening, and they will see some cards that they will consider as a weird choice from other Stoichia decks that are actually topping, for example Saga, sometimes maybe Magnolia, or even like Mushi King. They will just don't think it's this deck, but they will start thinking of other decks, and this is a good confusion for them. And you use this as your weapon to also attack aggressive early game, and then when the answer is revealed, it sometimes might be too hard for them to actually cover until they know the truth. Right, so without further ado, let's go into the deck profile. Of course, Nakano is my Grade 3 main Vanguard, and then I'm using the Soga right line, because if we are looking into a different Stoichia right line as generic wise, this is the best for you, especially when you are actually using orders. If you are not using orders or not planning to use too much orders, then this might not be a good one for you. But in this deck, we will be using quite a bit of orders, so I think this is a very good choice for us to build up our hand size. And to me, it doesn't matter which order I draw for the Ranger chain, I can pick it back up anyway, unless it's a Blitz order, so it won't hurt me that much. But one little spoiler is that I'm not running any Prison Dragon, even I do want to, and in this deck it's actually possible, but I think the pressure that Prison Dragon can give is not enough, and the return is not good enough, because when you use Prison Dragon, which means you are likely going to use like tier 4 Malice, because if not, you will need to like manually remove your Prison Dragon from the board, go to the drop zone, which sometimes is not easy to actually achieve while you have other tasks to do. Right, so this is our right deck, and let's go into the main deck. Now first, 3-1 Nakanos, because we want person right, and another benefit of this deck is you go into Nakano as your Vanguard, you get to look at top 7, then you can pick at least one of the quintuplet cards, which will only be her, and then you can review up to 2, right? And then if you only review 1, that one will just go into your hand, and since you don't have a memory, nothing will get sent to memory. So this is basically telling you, you go onto your right deck using a grave 3, you can already look at top 7 for a person right, and the next time you person right, you can still look at top 7 for another person right. So it's not guaranteed, but compared to a lot of decks that don't have the search, just by riding you get to search for a person right, I think it's good enough. And also not to forget her counterblast one withstand, that basically just as long as you have the counterblast and willing to lose 2 drive, that's done. It's easy done. And being a restanding Vanguard can be very scary, especially in D standard where we have OT. So if you put the OT onto your Vanguard while your opponent is trying to 2-pass you, you not only penetrate the guards, and you're counterblasting one restanding again to and do another big attack. Sometimes that even just end games for me. So this already apply enough threats, and based with other parts in the deck, it will make the deck even more threatening to your opponent if they don't know what it is. Next, for Init Pulse. The reason I'm using Init Pulse is because it's an easy brain game body. It's something that I can simply reborn, and because my Vanguard will be doing 2 attacks, which means as long as I have all my front row units there will be 4 attacks. And once I do 4 attacks, I can put Init Pulse into the soul at the end of the turn and draw 1 card. So just that easy. And as long as you fill up your soul, the soul can be reused for something else. So I don't see Init Pulse not being here. And compared to Prison Dragon, it's a lot more stable, and even you can just ditch it for that cost and then just try to reborn it with other cards. Next, I'm running one of the Strange Foot Preparation. So this is a very old common from DBT4, and this card, as long as you place it to Regal Circle from drop, you can choose 1 Bliss Order from your drop and add it to your hand. So this is a way to keep reusing Bliss Order. We do have some Bliss Order in there, and it's like very important, but then it also link up to other plays, while the Bliss Order can be a very good defensive method, which there's one Bliss Order that I didn't use in this deck, which you can consider, and sometimes can actually help you out. Okay, and next, for this little butterfly girl, Hallucinatory Morpho. So this card is a triple rare from DBT 11. So she got 2 skills. When she attacks, if you have Bliss Order in your drop, so +1 and +10k for until the end of the battle. So it's a kind of easy 20k beater if you needed to, but you need to have a Bliss Order. And in order to help you to do that, at the end of the battle, this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can counter +1, bind this unit, search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 or higher Bliss Order without regular piece, remove it, add to your hand, and show your deck. If your drop already has a Bliss Order, you can search for a normal order instead of Bliss Order, even though it still has to be grade 2 or higher, I think. But that is exactly what we want. So we can search for a Bliss Order that we can reuse, or let it be used so her +10k can be activated. This can actually grab you something, or you already used that Bliss Order, then you can start to +10k, and when this unit attacks finished, you can turn it into another normal order, which is something that you probably need. And then the end, she's a good monster reborn, just with a counterblast one, even though it's kind of a little bit contrasting or like eating what you actually needed for your Nakano sometimes. But if you have the spare counterblast and you would like to draw an extra card with your Init Pulse, then that's probably something that you can actually do. So that's why I'm actually having her here. But I think she is like an open slot if you want to use something else, which I think can be good. And then 2 of the Dragon Shield Retrograde one. It's mainly for like recycling the normal order, even though again it will kind of contrast with your Vanguard Counter Blast 1 skill, and sometimes your opponent are playing very well to only like give you one counter blast and make you make the choices you will always put onto your Vanguard. But then I still want kind of a backup that if I really do have a spare counter blast and what I need is actually in the drop zone, then at least I have a chance to pick it up. So it's a 2-box and it's an active skill, so you don't need to worry if this on place you don't do it or anything, because the on place is only generating the dragon tree marker which have no relationship with you at all, so you don't need to care about that. It can just be an AK boost, and then when time is right, pick up the normal order. And then you can see here I'm actually using 4 of the booster PG, and I'm not using the Blitz Order PG. Now this can actually pick that Blitz Order up. It is possible, and you can actually consider to use that, but the reason I choose not to use it is because the Blitz Order, once it's used, is removed from game. So of course you cannot recycle that Blitz Order, and I sometimes think this is better for me because I always have a lot of cards in hand, so I don't too mind about the card restrictions. I have faced some before and so far it's okay, and based on that Blitz Order that won't be able to get back to my hand and don't even go to the drop zone, I prefer the normal PG. But if you personally prefer to use that, feel free to chuck it in. Just more of a personal preference, but I think this is better because like unless you're facing a very hard card restriction from hand, just one card PG when you don't have cards in hand actually can save your life. So this is what I prefer, and this is what I learned from playing Soldier as well, that I do like using the Blitz Order, but then I see the value of this PG a little bit more. That's why I make the changes. And the actual Blitz Order that I'm using is the Sweet Honey Garden. So this requires you to Soul Blast 1 to play this card, and you can choose one of unit plus 15k until end of battle. You'll drop in another Blitz Order, which is basically another copy. Then it will become a 25k shield instead of 15k shield. Now, you might ask, will it be better to use the other Blitz Order that's Soul Blast 1, draw 1, and then for each type of order you get plus 5k? Sometimes. Because I have a very big chance to actually use this card in my early game. Like when I'm actually on grade 2, we just play this Soul Blast 1, then it makes all of my stuff activates basically that related to Blitz Order. So that order won't be able to save me because I might not even have a single order in my drop zone, then that is just a draw 1. And I want a more solid garden cards, so this is a better option. Again, if you change one of the PG into the Blitz Order, then you have 3, but so far 2 is doing me okay, and to me it is searchable with this. So and the more Blitz Order that you actually put into the deck, that means you are more restricted by the Blitz Order, because you can only still play 1 Blitz Order per turn, which means you get 2, then you can only use 1, and you need to wait to use another one the next turn, or you need to like ditch it for a PG cost or whatever, right? So I just prefer to use only 2, and again, so far they're doing me okay, so I'm just going to keep it like that. And then one of the crystal, the only targets will be these 2, because I won't be putting my Nakano out because I don't have a way to actually bounce her to my hand, so it will only be these 2. And if you already use this Blitz Order early game, then once you use this order you can just bring this back and then pick the Blitz Order back up and reuse again, which is a very simple trick to do, and it helps you to squeeze your deck so that you will see your triggers a lot easier with your Vanguard attacking, which is very important for you to get triggers and go in. And because we have a standing Vanguard, I'm using the E rendering souls. You might ask why not 4, but I think 4, I have to say, is really too much. 3 is a good number. You can recycle even though it's a bit harsh, but usually I only need it twice to win games. So 3 is just a protection if I really need to, but as long as I see one, then it can kind of rotate itself. So far it's doing me good, which means you will be doing 3 drive and 1 drive into a 4, and you discard 2 cards for it, which I think is totally worth it. And the more drives you have, meaning you will be a lot more easier to get into triggers while you're starting to like squeeze your deck, searching things out, drawing cards. Then you will be closer to your triggers when your deck's starting to be a lot more thinner. It's like a few games that I actually hit into like double crit and then over and crit, or like in a very thin deck where my OT is still there while I keep increasing my drive, then I actually meet up to my OT and put on my Vanguard, and that can win me games. So this is the main strategy: restanding Vanguard with more drives, and then a lot of cards that helping you to survive while you draw a lot of cards. You use the minimal cards for maximum damage, for maximum defense, and here we are. And then 2 of the Mystic Habitat, because we don't always get a crystal and we can only use it once, and if you just in need for extra unit, then this will help you out. Just look at top 7 for another card, which is actually quite easy to find something usually. Yeah, and sometimes you are just missing like in a pulse to do some good attacks, and this can help you out to find it. And then the cost of the drop zone, have the Frozen Resentment, and then Wild Intelligence. The reason I use this is because they are also including the mill, and sometimes that's what I needed, because I don't have anything to actually get me up an order except this, right? And by doing this, you're not only searching orders to your drop zone so you can pick it up, you are at the same time digging for this unit so you can reborn them, and they will be useful to you, right? And the more you squeeze your deck, meaning the easier you hit the triggers. Of course, with our intelligence, you have a risk that you will mill out your triggers, but that's fine. To me, that's fine, because usually when the moment you will use small intelligence is you kind of guarantee you already have something to reborn, right? And for Frozen Resentment means you are trying to search for cards to go into the drop zone. So the purpose is kind of different, and yeah, that's basically the difference and the reasoning behind. And you can see here, that's basically all the main deck content except triggers. And orders I'm running 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm running 10 orders, not like a very big amount, but at the same time it's actually not small, because even with Soldier we are playing around 11 to 13 orders usually. Sometimes you go tight, you can go to 10, but you might not be using a lot of this order. But in this we are actually using a little bit, because we get the search, we get recycle, and yeah, just having a good defense sometimes just save your life. Triggers. Soriki OT, because it comes in a crit, and compared to auto OT, except the blue elemental one, which picks you up a card, but I still prefer this. While I'm doing 4 attacks and my Vanguard will likely be the first one to attack, a built-in front trigger is actually helping me out. Drawing a lot of cards allows me to survive, a chance to heal, extra crit. That's all we need. For soul and crit, we don't need too much soul actually, but then sometimes we actually need it. if we are constantly using this card to plus 10k to just push the pressure to our opponent by tagging them harder, then you might need extra souls. So like just a backup plan, I have it there, and then 4 more auto crits, 3 other effect draws, and then 4 heals with one of the slot being a effect heal of your own choice. You can do normal heals if you want to, it doesn't matter, but I usually just keep one slot for me to just slot in the effect heal depending on the situation, just as a backup. So it's more like a habit, more a personal choice, so it's up to you. But I think the draw is important here, because the more cards you draw, meaning the easier you get into your person, right? Meaning the easier you get into Eating Souls, and then you just have a bunch of cards in your hand, survive the next turn, and then you plus drive, do the same thing, get all the cards in your hand, and you just throw them out, and see if you can win, or you actually can't survive. I will be uploading a match that I survive with this deck, and should be against the Bastion Accord, if I remember right. So to show you that this deck actually have potential to fight against some like meta decks. It's okay, it's functioning, but if you are asking me, is this deck stable? No, because if you don't have to E-rating souls, you are doing like a train drive and a no drive, right? And depending on how you arrange your power lines, sometimes it can be threatening, sometimes it can be easy guard. But it's kind of like Mianor, while you increasing drive is the way to go, because if you don't keep gaining drive to make her threatening, then it will be a very easy to take or easy to guard attack with other things not being a threat. Because when you are playing this kind of theme deck, or more like a road deck, fun deck, the idea is you're trying to make something to work, but you will need to use a lot of generic supports, which some of them are very powerful. For example, Inner Pulse will be a good attacker while turning into another card into your hand and also increasing assault, but then worst case is only a 13k attacker and do nothing, or even when you draw a card it doesn't save you. But with this kind of different arrangements, I think it kind of turn every single thing into something, into value that not only help you to push, but also allows you to survive for a turn or two. Then during those turn or two that you survive, then you can push back and see how far you can go. Because this deck really relies on how well you trigger, and that's why we are increasing drive to do 4 drives to not only get yourself a lot of cards in hand, but also allows you to have more chances to see triggers, and those will be your win card. Yeah, and I really find this deck very interesting, that I'm actually prefer to play this rather than the normal quintuplet build, because it's more challenging. Things are quite simple, that you don't need to think about what you need to play, because you just play them and they will just work, right? And they are not cards that will miss timing, because the on place is basically surgery stuff. This, as long as it's on the board, it will just have effects. This maybe, but then you can just simply use an attacker, or simply just use it at right that cost and ditch it, so you don't need to worry about this card too much. More toolbox. This, as long as on board, can just active this. Like you might not always get the 5k. You only play her when you want to reborn stuff, or even if you don't have any stuff to reborn, you can just play her and be a beater anyway, so it doesn't matter. This, again, as I explained, it's not an on-play skill to pick up orders, so you don't need to worry about that too much. And the rest is just depending on what you see, like especially the orders. If you see this, make sure you play it with another order. If not, then you can just use other orders to get yourself prepared. Even when you don't have extra drive, 2 swings can just be threatening sometimes, because your first attack going to a double crit, 33k free crit, restanding, that's already still scary, even with 0 drive, because your opponents will still need to guard it. So we are trying to make restanding Vanguard work in Slovakia, because I don't think we actually have anything that do that so far. It's usually in Dragon Empire with the OT, or with like Overlord, or like usually in Dark States, that they will attack the 2 times, or Vanguard trying to do something else. Yeah, or even like Brand Gate with Vanguard to stand, that have different requirements, but this probably is the easiest. Using the Counterblast one, you don't need this card. As long as you have a Counterblast, it can at least be doing 2 30k swings. So, and especially in this kind of deck, that small swings can be very scary with drive checks, because your opponents will need to give you like more than minimum. So it's like more than a 1 pass just in case things happens, and that's the funny part with this deck, that you can always let your opponents to think while you are trying to go for more safer options. And as I keep repeating, that you just keep a lot of cards in hand, guard, put something up, attack, get a lot of cards in hand, and repeat, right? Yeah, so that's basically the deck profile. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this idea, give it a like as well. Share with your friends, subscribe to my channel for more deck profiles, deck fights, unboxing videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.